That's another grouper, a bigger one. He's in the bottom, he's in the bottom. How is it going, boys and girls? Welcome back to Key West Waterman. My name is Aaron Young. Today we are going fishing. I kind of have a plan, but I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to jinx it. There was a lot of bait this morning. That's some dead bait that fell out of the net. I threw the net twice and I'm done. I've got tons of live bait. So we should be good on that end. But like I said, I do have a plan, but I don't want to jinx it. I've got some fishing rods with me in here somewhere. But we're gonna point the boat south and head offshore. Hopefully bend some rods. Figured I'd bring you along. All right, so I've got a couple of things I would like to accomplish today. One of them, importantly, being my bait freezer is completely empty. So I need some bonita or something of some sort. I would prefer bonita for the bait freezer. And for also what I want to catch today, bonita would be preferred. So that's what I'm gonna do first thing. I'm gonna set up, got some areas I'm gonna drift, and I'm gonna throw some bait out here. We're out in the blue water. We'll throw some bait and drift and see if we can get any bonita to come up. Sometimes it takes a few spots, sometimes it takes a little bit of patience, but we'll see. Just throw out a handful of freebies here and there and gonna patiently wait. If the bonita are here or when they show up, they'll typically push this bait up to the surface and they're gonna crash and throw water, or which is less common, I'll mark them on the screen. But typically with live bait, the live bait's gonna stay on the surface. The bonita will come and find them and you'll hear them or see them. We are on our third spot. I have not had anything come up yet. It's so funny, when I'm not looking for bonita, I can't get away from them. But every time I try to find them, they elude me. But we're not giving up yet. Take a little bit of patience. I feel like I just marked a few on the screen, but nothing's come up yet. Sometimes they just take some convincing. I've got a good mark of what looks like the right fish, bonita, just not coming up, so I'm gonna put one out just in case. Sometimes they won't come up to the surface. Sometimes they'll sit under the bait. But if you put a bait on a hook, a lot of times it'll swim down a little bit. Oh. That's not what I was expecting. Big old rainbow runner. How did you... Ow! Hungry little critter. Absolutely swallowed it. I don't know if I'm about to get this out. I had to pretty much rip the gills out to get the hook out, but that's a rainbow runner. You can actually eat these, but worst case scenario, I can use this for bait. Oh. Did I finally find him? It just takes a little patience sometimes. I've been doing this drift over and over. Nothing has came to the surface. the second I threw that little ball of pilchards in. Something ate it. Not the biggest bonita, but those are perfect little bait size. So some people may be like, you know, why don't you just go buy bait at the store? Absolutely can. It's not going to be nearly as fresh. And this is way more fun. That's a rainbow runner. Big rainbow runner. That'll work as bait too. Worst case, I can't find bait or can't find enough bonita. I can just use these. While they're biting, I'm gonna see if I can get a few for the freezer. I cannot get out of these rainbow runners. Hungry critters. Well, the bonita are giving me a run for my money. I've only got one. I brought one small frozen one, so I've got two really small bonita. Bait just goes quick out here, so I wanted to have extra, but I swear, every time I try to come film catching a bunch of bonita, I can't find them. And anytime I'm not filming and I'm trying to catch tuna, I catch 10,000 of them. Maybe that's just a state of mind, I don't know. But I'm gonna head in and we're gonna switch the game plan up. I've got two rainbow runner, two bonita to use for bait. And we're gonna try to catch what the initial target was today. I would love to catch a black grouper. A very good friend of mine, his name's actually Aaron as well. I owe him some black grouper fillets, and I've been craving black grouper head soup. So if we can find and locate one, everybody wins. But we're gonna head in towards the reef, a little bit shallower. We'll get set up. I'm up on top of the reef. I'm coming up on the area I want to fish. People always ask me, how do you find black grouper spots? You got to go black grouper fishing and diving and put the time in, and you'll eventually catch some and locate them. This particular spot I've caught a fair amount on, but it's been a while since I've fished. You can see it comes up from the deep. This is kind of just the face of the reef, but that's what I like to see. A little bit of life. That tells me there's some type of bait down there. I've actually dove this spot, so I know what it looks like. It's kind of Swiss cheesy, but sometimes you'll pull up on a spot and there will be no life. This one, a lot of times will have a little ball of life like that. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm gonna get set up, try and anchor kind of right on that face, and we'll get to fishing. We're fishing on hard bottom, so I'm just gonna use that little grapple. Normally grabs pretty good. All right, so I'm swinging towards the spot. Anchor just hooked. It's gonna swing me around. I really want to let it settle. So when you got some wind like this, the boat will settle. It'll probably swing a couple times before it finds its home. But that looks pretty good because I'm right in between the two. And there is some life. So I'm just gonna do a tester. Get the current down. I can tell by looking at it, the current is probably more than I was hoping for. But I just literally got a dead bait and a jig. This will tell me how much current I got and if this spot's realistic for what I'm trying to do. Preliminary, it does not look good. My line is going way back there. I'm gonna switch this reel back over. I had a buddy on the boat that liked it on the other side. But looking at this, the style of fishing I was hoping to do, this probably not gonna work. Might have to move down, see if I can get out of the current. So we moved along. I found an area with a little less current. I promise I'm gonna get to fishing. I'm just gonna talk a little longer. I wanna explain a little bit of my thoughts on black grouper. So I'm targeting black grouper specifically. Red grouper is always a possibility. I personally like the black grouper better. They have a much higher fat content, especially if I'm making soup or just cooking the fillets. I think black grouper is superior. Don't get me wrong, red's still amazing. Black grouper is just my first choice. So I moved along. This is our next spot. I still got a little more current than I would like. So I moved in just a little shallower. That'll help me get to the bottom easier. I'm in 60 feet. You can see I haven't done any fishing at all, and there's a ton of life here, so I really like the look of that. But I'm going to target black grouper. Black grouper fishing are one of the more difficult species to catch, and not for the reason you may think. It's not that there's not a lot of them. There are black grouper all over the place. If you've watched some of my diving videos, I shoot probably one black grouper for every 10 that I see. They're a very healthy population. But the reason I think that they are difficult to catch is, one, they are extremely powerful. So most of the anglers that I've had when I used to run charters would have trouble getting them up. I'd say literally probably 1 out of 10 or 15 blacks that we would hook, we would land. Because they're very fast, very powerful. They're going to eat your bait and go straight into a hole, so you've got to get them up off the bottom quick. And another reason is people don't really put the time in to try and locate them or get them to the boat. They are not picky. I've seen them eat live bait, dead bait, parrotfish, crabs, lobster. They'll eat anything. They're opportunists. But again, they're very strong, very powerful. So when you do hook one, you've got to get on it right away. So I'm going to try and catch one on cut bait today. We'll see how that goes. May have to adjust and kind of go with the flow. As you've seen today, it hasn't really gone as planned, but that's just a part of fishing. So I'm going to get set up here. I'll talk you through what I'm going to be doing. And my findings, just doing this over the years, yes, you can put a bait down right away and you may hook a black grouper, but a lot of times they're not going to be directly under the boat. So you've got to do something to get them to your bait, or get your bait to them in one way, shape, or form. Most commonly, the way I see people do it is they're going to chum, and you'll chum for a certain amount of time, and just that commotion and that activity, I always talk about action brings action. The more activity you have under the boat, the more likely it is that a grouper is going to show up and check out what's going on, because at the end of the day, everything out here is trying to eat each other. Everything's looking for a meal. We're all trying to just survive. So when a grouper feels a bunch of stuff going on in a certain area, all the vibrations, the fish feeding, it's going to come check it out. So that's one way to do it. Chum, like for yellowtail or something. Another way to do it is just to fish. Fish for smaller fish for a certain amount of time, which is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to drop some dead chunks down there and hook a few yellowtail, hopefully, just to get some commotion going, some movement in the water. So those are probably the two most popular ways to get grouper around. I've hooked these things on dead bait, cut bait. I've hooked them on, I've been yellowtailing and hooked a yellowtail and then a grouper eating the yellowtail that I hooked. They'll eat lobster and crab. Like I said, they're not picky. They're hard to fight, and they can be difficult to locate. It's a patience thing. The current is still just a little more than I'd like. I'm gonna add a little bit of extra weight. I just want to get these pilchards, these dead pilchards down to the bottom, hook a few fish, get some commotion going. I'll probably do that for 30 minutes. Well, we'll see if I can hook something. I had to switch over to bonita. Those pilchards are too soft when they're dead. It's coming right off. The fish are just picking them right off. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm getting a pilchard down there. A bunch of fish are picking at it, eating it. It all just creates more action, which is what I'm after here. And I could just start cutting these dead pilchards up and flaking them out there, but the current's too bad. They would be way behind the boat by the time they got down. I want the commotion to be on the bottom. Maybe that side of the boat's bad luck. I'll try it over here. The grouper just ate a yellowtail. I came off. Oh, he came back and ate him. That was a yellowtail. Of course, the rig I'm not set up for. If I would have dogged it anymore, well, I did lose him. That is exactly what that was. I hooked a yellowtail, I felt a little yellowtail, and then whoop, a grouper came and ate it. So I've been sitting here about 20 minutes. I actually haven't even caught a single yellowtail somehow. I keep putting my bait down there and they're picking it to death. So that tells me there's already a grouper down there. So we're gonna put a grouper bait down. I'll show you. There's quite a bit of commotion on the screen already. Look at all that. All that's life. And that may have just been luck. The grouper may have already been here because all the life's here. Or those few baits that I put down that they were picking at could have made it come by. You never know, but either way, there's definitely a grouper here, and that's what that was. I just was not rigged up for it. To prepare for the grouper, that was definitely a grouper. Wasn't a giant one, but it dogged me enough that I know I need to go up and tackle. So I beefed up to 50-pound fluorocarbon. On that rig, I only had 20, so I was trying to like baby it, but still get it out, but I knew it was probably gonna pop and get me down to the bottom and pop it. But I went up to 50 fluorocarbon. I'm gonna go to a big circle hook. And if I had a bigger jig, I would just do this with a jig, but I just put a slide weight right there, and I'm gonna let it down real slow. Do it just like that. Should have the same effect. And grouper tend to have a pretty good appetite. So I'm gonna take a big chunk off of this. Something big enough that it'll grab its attention. So I'm gonna do just like that, big old hunk of bonita. Again, if I had a bigger jig, I would do a bigger jig, just so it's attached. But with the amount of current, I don't have a jig big enough. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let this go down slowly, because I want it to look like it's sinking, like it's like a dead fish sinking. I'm not just gonna free spool it. That and the weight's gonna go faster than that bait will. And it's gonna slowly come down the column. And it's gonna look like an opportunity for a meal for that grouper, hopefully. Check my drag. Ooh, way too light, way too light. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. If I hooked this thing first, or hooked a grouper first try, I would be amazed. There's a reason these fish are sought after. They are a worthy adversary. I think the biggest thing is their power. They're just really, really strong and fast. So I'm actually on the bottom. We're only in 60 feet, so it didn't take long. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let that lay there. See if curiosity will get the best of this thing. Let it lay there for a minute. If it doesn't, nothing happens, I'll pick it up and do that same drift again. And there's a real good chance you'll have little stuff picking at it while it's sitting on the bottom, but you just gotta be patient. A grouper is gonna be a big thump or just dead weight. I wanna try that again. Oh. That was him. He did a little tap, like he picked it up and then went to eat it, and I pulled it right out of his mouth. Let's try that again. There's a grouper down there. I can smell it. I can smell it. Right when I turned the camera off, something grabbed it on the way down. I don't know, this almost feels like a shark. On the way down, I turned the camera off. I've done like 4 or 5 drifts. I was getting impatient. When I least expect it. Oh! You gotta be kidding me. When I least expect it. Losing tackle, falling off the console. That is what I've been after. Black grouper. Look how beautiful. Oh, they never get old. I'm not exaggerating. I've done 4 or 5 drifts, nothing. Little picks. Had that one bite, missed it. And this 5th time, I was like, whatever, I'm gonna turn the camera off. So I turned the camera off. I was 40 feet down. And it just went foomp. And I turned the camera on right after that, and that's what we got. Black grouper, baby. Just to give you an idea, They got to be 24 total length. It's 27. I'm gonna get this thing dispatched. I don't want it to suffer any longer than it needs to. Thank you, thank you, thank you, buddy. Brain and bled. There we go. Oh, I can't believe it. These things are tricky. Let me give you a time check. I like to keep it real. So I got out here about 8 o'clock. Took me till about 11 to get bait. About 10:45, 11. And then I switched up to the grouper. I know the videos make it look a certain way, like time just flies by. And it is almost 1:30. So I've been at this 2.5 hours. A lot of times I cut out quite a bit of footage because it's just me standing there doing nothing, but this is the reward. Perfect eater, black grouper. Persistence pays, baby. Yeah, it's been like 5 minutes and that thing's still beating. That's the heart. I cannot believe I missed the bite. Sat here for 20 minutes dropping this thing. The first one I turned the camera off, I missed the bite. So out of curiosity, we're gonna drop one more. See if there's anything else down there. I can only have one grouper. Well, technically I could keep more if I wanted to go commercial, but recreationally I can only have one black grouper, so I'm done on that end, but for the sake of science, we're gonna try and drop another. That's another grouper, a bigger one. He's in the bottom, he's in the bottom. It's a bigger fish. Oh. Whew. I still got you. Saw the bite on that one. Much healthier fish. Wow. Wanted to show you all the bite. Much healthier. Beautiful black grouper. Wow. Gonna let him go. Oh, that was neat. Wanted to try again so you can see the bite. You saw the bite on that one. That one just thump, thump, wham, straight down. We are done out here. I'm gonna call it on that. I've got my one to eat. Had a little fun. What a beautiful day. If that don't put a smile on your face, there's something wrong with you. I am done out here on this end. Hopefully you learned a little bit. I learned something. I hope you guys learned something. Hopefully all that talking wasn't for nothing, but I've got the one black grouper I need. Got to catch another really nice one, so I'm very, very happy. My heart is full today. But I'm gonna call it. Get the anchor pulled, we'll head in, and I'll see you back at the house in a little while. Almost forgot to eat my lunch. A little seared tuna, some ponzu, and wasabi. Grouper are very slimy. Let's break this thing down. So my main concern here is the head and the throat. Pretty much everything that's left that's not the fillet. All right, so this is what we're going to be using. Do not leave your hand there when you do that, please. So that'll go great in my stock as well, or you can just throw that on the grill and eat it, depending on what you're feeling. I'm going to take this collar out. There's little hinges right there. You cut behind one and over the other. And I could boil this thing whole. The reason I take this out, show you there's a little hinge right there. The reason I take the collar out, a lot of times I'll eat it by itself, but because I'm going to be using the head for a stock, when I take the collar out, it's a lot easier to get the gills out. Now I'm going to be smart and put a glove on this time. Try to get a hold of the gills. I like a serrated knife. Just like that. Get on the back side of the head. Kind of cut down in a V shape. Just be careful in there. A lot of sharp stuff, including your knife. And there we are. You do not want to make the stock with those gills included. It really changes the flavor. All right, so we've got our head. We're going to use these two for stock. The collars are amazing. You can pick the meat out of them after you use it for stock, or you can just throw it all in there. You'll get a lot of fat out of these. I'll probably throw this in there just as well, just to spice it up and get as much flavor out of there as possible. Like I said, these are going to my good friend Aaron. And I'll see you in the kitchen in a bit. And we're in the kitchen. So today we are going to make one of my absolute favorites. We're going to start with a simple broth from scratch. Take your grouper cuts. I personally like black grouper over any other grouper that I've tried this with. The amount of natural fat in the black grouper is far superior to the others in my opinion. But you can do this with any fish, especially grouper. I think grouper has such a high fat content, it just makes the stock really good. So what we have in this pot right now is just our offcuts. I've got the head, the collars, and the rack in there. We're gonna turn our heat on. You'll hear it start to simmer. And we're gonna add, I have two, it's kind of messy, two garlic cloves, two garlic heads. The entire head's cut in half, take the roots off. One onion, same split, all this can be rough chopped. And then that much celery. So this is one of my favorites. Like I said, we've done it quite a bit in the past, but we're actually gonna mix it up a little bit today. But this is the base. This is the stock that I start with, and from here you can do whatever you want. You can eat it as it is, or you can doctor it up. And I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, maybe, I don't know, like a 1/4 cup of salt. That's what we look like. Sometimes I'll do this, depends how ambitious I'm feeling. I'll brown the edges a little bit. Not required, but sometimes I feel like it helps. Brown the edges on the meat. And now we're gonna add some water. And I just wanna fill that up. You don't wanna dilute it too much because you won't get as much flavor punch out of there. You want everything to just be kind of at the top of the water, depending on how much you got, how big your pot is. I'm happy with that right there. So we're gonna bring that up to heat, get it up to a boil, well, a light boil, and then bring it down to a simmer. I just wanna get everything up, and then we'll bring it down to a simmer. I like to at least go an hour, hour and a half if you got time. Try not to be in a rush. Really lets everything come out of those fish scraps, and you get a lot more flavor. But I'm gonna let that simmer, and I'll see you in a bit. We are coming up on an hour and a half. Looks awesome. So I'm just gonna leave that covered, turn the heat off, and let it cool at its own pace. One of my favorite parts about making these stocks or soups is once you start digging in there, you get these little garlic pouches. It tastes like grouper head garlic gushers. They're so good. Do they not? Yeah, just packed with flavor. Yeah. So typically, if you've kept up with the channel, we're gonna take, when we get to this point, we're gonna strain all this stuff out, and we're just gonna dress it up the way we want. Some noodles, some veggies, a little bit of fish, some sambal or something spicy if you like spice. But today, I'm gonna try something new. We're still gonna use that same base, this grouper head stock, or grouper scrap stock, you could say. But I'm gonna doctor it up a little bit afterwards. I've gotta take a video of this. Maybe this phone will pick it up. The fat, the natural fat that sits on top. And it's all from that grouper. It's amazing. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this up to a boil, and we're gonna add some stuff. We're gonna add, to start, some carrots. Give those 3 or 4 minutes just to soften up a little bit. Noodles of your choice. I've got some lo mein noodles. Yes, I broke them. I'm gonna add just a little bit of coconut milk. I don't know how much yet. Just wanna see it. A little bit more. Again, I don't have a recipe for this, so I'm just shooting from the hip. So I'm gonna do a little bit of fish sauce. Smells terrible. Has great flavor. Got some sambal. I gotta figure out how to make this at home. We had this in Indonesia, homemade everywhere. All the restaurants did it homemade, and it was unbelievable. We're gonna throw in a little bit of bok choy, just mainly the stems, just for a little bit of crunch. If you want to incorporate leaves, throw them in a little bit later because they'll cook a lot faster. Just for a little extra flavor. Not required, but I just saw this sitting here. That is the grouper cheek. That's the whole cheek right there. I'm just gonna go ahead and toss that in there. Throw in some green onions. And this, I just started doing this. This is ginger, but if you roast it, ginger is very harsh, but I'm gonna dice that up actually. I found that if you roast it, I roast it at 400 in the air fryer for just a few minutes. It's a great addition, or you can use it as a garnish. Toss that in there.
It smells incredible.
Come back and get a refill. I made a little bit too much. I had some leftover tuna, some fresh tuna, blackfin tuna. Let that heat cook it off a little bit. You can see the edges already starting to turn white. And we'll top it off with just a little bit of furikake. right, let's see what we got going on here. Oh, that's kind of neat. The edges are kind of seared from the heat, and then the interior is still raw. Almost like a bit of seared tuna. Miss Madeleine is inside. She had a long day. She's not feeling up for the camera. So let's give this a try. Get a little bit of everybody in one bite. I need another bite. Ooh. I got the ginger that time. You can taste the coconut milk. I may have added a little bit more coconut milk. It's pretty similar to the I'm not going to say it's revolutionary. It's pretty similar to the way we normally do it. I figured the coconut milk and the fish sauce would change it up quite a bit, but don't get me wrong, it's fantastic. Got a little bit of the sambal heat coming through. Okay, it's rocking. I love it. Holy moly. Just the richness and the depth of the fats, the natural fats from that grouper head. I've boiled down most fish. I've used most of the scraps. I can't find anything that tastes as good as the black grouper head. Wow. Let's see if I can get Madeleine to try it behind the scenes. Maybe you want to try it quietly or out of the frame? Madeleine doesn't want to be on camera, so she's gonna go here.
They're just gonna hear my giggles.
It took a couple bites to get the flavors going. Ooh. The sambal comes through on like the third bite, and then you get a little bit of the ginger. Make sure you get.
We're on our honeymoon. This dish looks like something we ate when we were in Indonesia.
Yeah. Okay, we'll try to get a couple bites. Really capture the flavors. Don't say anything until the third bite.
Can I make noises?
And get some of that broth. Yeah, obviously you're behind the camera. Noises are required. You know how ginger's so harsh? I roasted it at 400 in the air fryer, and it brings it down.
Whoa, I like that flavor. What
Isn't
is
that nice?
Like,
it's literally, I sliced the ginger real thin, roasted it at 400 for 2 minutes in the air fryer, not in the oven, the air fryer or convection oven.
oh my.
And it dulls it down, but it gives it a nice aftertaste. Isn't that nice?
This is so good.
That's my first time doing the roasted ginger in there.
I like the roasted ginger. That's a good touch.
Anyways, we're done out here. It's Madeleine approved. She's making sounds. Thumbs up.
Wow, babe. So good.
But that is all I have on this one. This one needs a little bit of fine tuning, but I'm on the right track here. I really like this. Oh, I cooked the tuna all the way through. I was kind of hoping it wouldn't do that. But that's okay.
But it tastes good.
It definitely tastes good. Maybe put the tuna on when it's a little less hot. That's all we got on this one. Thanks so much for coming along. I had a blast grouper fishing. That was so much fun. I love diving. Fishing is really fun. I love it all. You guys obviously know that. I've been doing this for way too long to not love it. I'm just obsessed with it. But again, hopefully you learned something. I appreciate you guys continuing to watch. Any questions, first hour of the videos come up, I'll get on there and answer your questions. And I will see you on the next one. Later.